I tried to warn you about the virus coming to America. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you about the threat of China. You didn't listen. Okay? I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you about how these riots will turn into a world government opportunity to respond. You didn't listen. Fuck, I couldn't even keep a straight face. This is fucking this fucking bandana. Oh fuck, I'm so dumb. I'm sorry. I was just making myself laugh. Sorry. Fuck. Oh man. What's up? Yeah, no, my Mexican accent, it like borders on like Eastern European, like Portuguese, like fucking Cuban. So I put on this on its. Oh wait, don't touch the phone, right? Don't touch the phone for signal strength. I don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was Mexican. That was an attempt at Mexican. Oh fuck. Hola muchacho. The Vato. The wise Jew. Legion of Birdline says I'm a wise Jew. I'm definitely not a Jew. Yeah, I know. I know the fucking accent sucks. I shouldn't have done it. I'm just fucking making up the shit. I'm like nailing 2x4s right now. And I decided to make a whole video. So the fucking there's virtually no preparation in any of these. So these are like, I was drinking water 3 minutes ago. Now I'm out here making a live stream. So if you don't like the videos, then fucking there's plenty of other places on YouTube that will shit directly into your fucking skull where your brain was. They'll do that right for you. There's no extra charge. You can go get it done. All right, now what I'm trying to tell you in this video. So you guys hear that these cops. So there's cops getting blinded by lasers, right? I just heard about this. I didn't know. Where the fuck is Juan at? Juan got demoralized because Juan kept coming in here and saying like he was like, you really contradict yourself a lot. Precious metal spikes, yeah. I mean, any commodity. So I'm not stacking anything right now. I'm stacking fucking like, I don't know, mana is what I'm fucking stacking. The commodities, metal spiking, anything like that is going to be that's going to be a position of the reciprocal of the dollar, and it'll continue. It'll be a continuous trend until your dollar collapses, and then you'll be given the lifeboat. You'll be given the lifeboat. That's the new currency. All right, so what I wanted to talk to you guys about is there's some officers that got blinded by lasers. So this is I don't want to get into like it's not like a haha I told you so. It's very unfortunate that human beings are getting blinded by lasers. This is going to increase. Now the stuff that I was talking about are nation states using lasers, which is what you're going to see in the next conflict. But this is like the first, in terms of a, obviously the Antifa riots, the BLM riots are obviously coordinated and shit. It's probably Antifa using lasers, I would guess, but who knows? And they're there's an element of shit being potentially set up, right? Any Antifa riot. And so the fact that like Antifa is engaging federal officers with lasers is kind of the first public sign of offensive laser use, which is the media's. I don't think the media's making a big deal out of it. I didn't even hear about it until today. I guess it was days ago. I didn't hear about it until today. But yeah, I think three officers definitely got at least eye damage. I don't know if they're blind. They're blinded at the time, but it could be like I don't know. They didn't give a lot of information. So that's the first thing. The permablind, yeah, okay. That's what I figured. I mean, once you get it beyond a certain watt range, you're going to have permanent blindness. And this is so like the reason that I was making a batshit video last month to try to warn you guys about lasers and just understanding that the threat is there is can save you time if you come into something in the future years, and you already have a conception in your head. You've already thought of it with your mind, and then you see it in real time, a threat like a laser threat. You're going to realize it quicker than if you had never considered it. Like if you're trying to figure out like what's a laser in real time, that means you're going to go blind if you get hit by it. By you being able to see like lasers fucking bounce around on your environment and shit, and then know that they are in the offensive capacity in terms of being out there right now, then it's like you could fucking not go blind. And that's the reason that I'm making it's not so much for laser goggles, though. Those are good if you can afford them. They're very expensive. You don't want to get the little plastic ones. You're going to want to get, I'm talking like scientific, like laser goggles, like shit that will, very expensive goggles, and you're going to want them somewhere in the range of 600 nanometer to 1200 nanometer typically. All right. Now I already said that in an old video, but I've deleted my video, so I wanted to kind of bring it back up. The reason why I made those videos is because of this situation, and just to account for it, I wanted to mention in this video. The other thing that happened was you had a engagement of a BLM protester by a dude in a car, by a civilian in a car. So you have the traditional scenario, which is there are people that are trying to get through the protests because they're going about their daily lives, and there's protests going on, and there's regular ass people caught up in the protests that are participating in it, and there's regular ass people that are caught up in the protests just trying to access wherever they're trying to go, whether it be home or whatever, go to work, whatever. And then the automatic picture of the you really get a sense of BLM protesters and Antifa protesters in their head. You get a sense of an image that they're building in their head by guidance, by societal guidance, of how they feel injustice and how they feel like angry. And then when they see a car driving through a protest, they're able to focus that anger on the individual in the vehicle, right? And in this case, you're talking about a dude that was at a protest. A car was trying to get through there. It was at night. They ran into something. I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm just saying that this is like approximately what happened according to news, right? Dude ran into a barrier. Like running in the barrier kind of gave or a cone or something. He ran into some kind of serpentine traffic cones or some shit, trying to get through the protest area. The BLM protesters like started to focus on his vehicle and shit, and then the dude that came up to him was carrying an AK, aimed an AK at him. According to the guy that shot him. I wasn't there. I don't fucking know what happened. According to the dude that driving the car, this protester aimed an AK at him, like pointing the barrel approximately, aimed at him, and so the dude zapped him, fucking shot him and killed him. So that's like that is an escalation, right? And this is something that's completely unavoidable. This is going to happen multiple times, no matter what. You've already had a lot of life, unnecessarily lost because of the AK shot. Yeah, that may very well be. What I'm saying is, yeah, he should. Yeah. So if the situation, right? If the situation is that the dude in the car looked up, like ran to a barrier because he's trying to get through, and there's an impromptu BLM protest, and they're antagonistic towards him. So he's just trying to navigate through the protests, and then he like hits a fucking cone that's there that wasn't there earlier, because he's probably looking around like scared or whatever of the protesters, and then he turns and there's a dude with a fucking AK aimed at him. Like, he's got every right to kill that man. You know what I mean? Legally speaking, right? Like, he can kill that man. Okay, so that's reality. Okay, reality switches on. Some people haven't picked up on that, but that is where we're going. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention about the something kind of interesting that I was thinking about today is that all the protesters, if you didn't notice this, so I know I have a lot of, I got a lot of dudes in here that are video games guys, right? I'm pretty sure I do, because in the Discord, I heard lots of shit about like every fucking 2 seconds, somebody's asking about video games. I get lots of questions about video games. So the fucking in the video games, can you guys start listing off the top of your head video games that have come out in the past 5 or 6 years where people are wearing like gaiters with like a balaclava gaiter with a fucking skull, or fucking like monster face or whatever? I don't play any fucking video games, so I don't know. I just know that because I've seen them on like YouTube ads and shit when I'm trying to look at something on YouTube. Yeah, list them, please. Start listing video games that came out with masks on them, and start listing like the earliest one that you can think of, the most recent ones, where they had the graphics laden gaiters that people wear as masks, where they go over their nose and shit. All right, so there we go. We have quite a few video games right there. I was thinking about this. So these protests, what's really interesting and unique is that you saw like with Ukraine and with Russia, it is common to cover your face. In the United States, it has not been common to cover your face. So like it was even uncommon, like when I was in Iraq, it was uncommon to cover your face. You would do it during dust storms or something. Like if there was or if you're driving through like burning smoke or something, you'd like throw your fucking gaiter over your face just to give you like debris protection or something. Keep you from getting fucking shit in your mouth. Besides that, nobody wore fucking masks. Police didn't wear masks, okay? Like even SWAT and shit like that, they weren't wearing masks. Nowadays, everybody's got fucking masks, right? The police have masks, the fucking protesters have masks, and it looks a lot to me like it's a video game inspired programming, right? Like a broad, I'm not talking about conspiracy, I'm saying as conspiracy as it would be to make a bunch of movies about violence, to make people think about violence before you want them to be violent or something. Like that would be the depth of the conspiracy, right? Like it's a very broad and vague thing. I'm talking about the number of instances of showing people in media, video games or movies with wearing masks and shit. And then all of these protests, the Antifa, the BLM, the fucking Bulu guys, the fucking like all the Popo, everybody has a mask on, and it's very different. And it wasn't like this before. It wasn't like this. The United States particularly never wore masks. Now the Russians wore masks, right? Like in the modern Russian conflicts, they've always been big on like masks, and like in the Ukrainian conflict, any of the Eastern European conflicts that are of recent, you're going to see a shitload of masks being used. The United States, it hasn't really been seen. It's not really like that. Like in the United States, the psychology is basically like, we don't have anything to hide, so we don't wear masks. Like even if we fuck up and shoot the wrong person or whatever, like we don't have anything to hide, we don't wear masks, right? And it's interesting that has changed to me. Yeah. So the purpose, or I'm not going to talk about purpose, right? I don't know what the purpose would be exactly. The effect of everybody wearing masks, including all sides, both Op 4, Blue 4, Green 4, everybody is wearing fucking masks. The effect of it is that, number one, you can have an extreme degree of anonymity. So that means like both in camera coverage of events, and we already saw this. You saw this with the fucking Umbrella Man breaking windows and shit. You have a degree of somebody being able to put on a color or a uniform or whatever, and use the material presentation of their image to be associated with a group, and then make an act, and then be permanently associated with that, like regardless of who it is, right? And that's a huge vulnerability. It's something that can be exploited in the future, for sure. And it's consistently present at all of these modern protests, right? Like even your fucking Occupy movement and shit, like the old like kind of more impotent protests, they're not wearing masks. Early BLM not wearing masks. It's kind of interesting, right? The other effect is that I think the prevalence of mass has something to do with the phenomenon of doxing. So like through the media doing high profile doxing of people, I'm talking about the MSM, like somebody says something that's not politically correct, the MSM doxes them, and you get the period of like the Me Too movement, where it's like people just, basically getting fired by a fucking hidden hand that, or a hidden voice that says like, go ahead and fire that person. Everybody agrees, and they don't know where it came from. And the chilling effect that comes out of that into society is almost seems like it's manifested in the need for people to wear masks and shit like that, to protect their identity in case something gets fucked up, right? They just don't want to be associated. They don't want to have their image out there. So people are starting to understand the danger of having image capture, right? And I don't mean for doing something wrong. I mean like just existing, right? Like people are beginning, we're at the precipice of the general public beginning to understand. I'm not saying this is why, I'm not saying that there's nothing fishy going on with how the masks are being pushed. I just don't know. But in terms of the general public, their disposition, they're beginning to understand how every single image that they put onto social media anywhere in the past is fucking retained forever. Your image is on there forever. People can fucking find you, right? There is no anonymity, right? And people are starting to see the danger of this, and starting to see how whoever will be able to control social media is going to have control of all of this. And they're going to be able to use imagery for any purpose that they want, and nobody can fucking stop them. Not your ethics, not your law, nothing, right? They can just get completely fucking out of control. No, I don't know Yankee Marshall. Red texting me. Now, the AI tech is extremely dangerous. So Amazon has been selling facial recognition to police departments for several years now. It's a big deal. The Palantir has been selling private intelligence services to all kinds of both creditors, law enforcement, everybody. I mean, it's just like the Wild West if you're on the crew, right? If you're on the crew, it's the Wild West. If you're a regular person, you just don't get any Fourth Amendment, and nobody cares. None of your politicians care. They're not going to stop it, right? Yeah, the automatic plate recognition scanners, that is something that's a little older. It was rolled out a long time ago, and the police fucking swallowed it up. Like they said, same thing with IMEI sniffers. Like they call them stingrays usually in police departments. So stingrays, IMEI catchers, fucking automatic plate recognition scanners. All these things got kind of like sold to the police departments around the United States, particularly large cities. And the police looked at it everywhere like, gimme, who gives a fuck about the Fourth Amendment? And that's going to come back to bite everyone in the ass, including the police. I'm not going to get into that yet. We're not going to go into the slaves part yet. We'll say that for the end. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of current events, the shit going on, is the So I put in a screen cap on this. This is from 4chan, the screen cap that's on here, and they're discussing the laser shit. Now it's just like a 2-entry response back and forth between 2 posters on 4chan, and they're discussing how, you know, they basically say in the fucking sentence on the thumbnail of this video, they say this is just going to keep on escalating, and then every time that it happens, it's getting more and more support for Trump, and then Trump's going, you know, it's getting support for the general public to retaliate, right? Now, this is exactly what I've been trying to fucking tell you guys, you know? I've been trying to tell you guys this for a long time. I'm still getting pushback, right? I'm still getting, I got an email from a guy. I'm not going to say who he is. I don't do any of that stuff. You know, I protect your, you know, as much as I can. I protect your confidentiality, and we'll have a candid conversation with you in email. But I got a guy send me, and this guy, I'm not dogging on him because I've gotten several emails that are like this, probably like 5 or 6. This entire time that I've been making these videos, I've been getting emails from people that are basically, they're basically like patronizing me, and they're saying like, hey, I really like your stuff. Hey, I'm like worried about you. You know, I'm worried that you might, you know, you might not be all there. I'm worried that, you know, you might be going through a difficult time, and, you know, you may be losing grips with reality. So the people that are sending me these emails, I do believe that they're real people. I believe that it's genuine, and I think that's perspective. Now, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that you guys are fucking, if you're sending an email like that, what I want you to understand is that I understand exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. The rest of the general public yet doesn't, because they're fucking brainwashed. But it's not like I have some kind of intelligence ability. It's just that I don't give a fuck about your fucking Mercedes Benz or whatever the fuck you're chasing. All this stuff is trash, and, you know, like, I'm seeing beyond that fucking horizon. Okay, so I'm not motivated by the same bullshit that you're motivated by, and so I don't give a fuck. The fucking glitz and glamour doesn't work on me, right? And once you start getting like that for a few years, you start to look at things like they really are. And, you know, if you're sending me emails asking me if I'm okay and shit, you're kind of like, you know, it's kind of like somebody fucking like bleeding on the ground and being like, oh, you know, oh man, you look like you're not stabbed. Like, you sure you don't want to get stabbed, bro? Oh, like, no, I don't want to get fucking stabbed. You know, stop fucking, yeah. I bet a lot of them are Algonquins. Now, I will tell you this. The ARFCOM, the little fucking cute little ARFCOM threads, those are 100% Algonquins. So if you're an ARFCOM and you're watching these videos, and then you go to like the Duke and Ashley threads that people are making talking about me on ARFCOM, and you'll have like a couple of people in the origin of the thread that will say something like, you don't have to fucking, I'm not a fucking like yes man where it's like you have to fucking agree with me. I'm okay with constructive criticism, but especially if you're gonna say something that's like critical of me, if you're a genuine person and you care about your position, I welcome you to come here some way, somehow, even if it's email or whatever. If you want to get on Discord and do a fucking live stream, we can do that, and I'll record it and drop it. But like, I'll debate you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I understand what I'm talking about, and I don't have any qualms taking on anybody. I'll take on any one of you motherfuckers. I'll take on 2 of you at one time. You know, it doesn't matter. This shit is more important than your fucking ego. This shit is like, I don't care about your you know, like, whatever image you're trying to preserve, that you think that you're trying to preserve. I don't care about it, because the reality is that the American public is going to be left all in the bag here, and they're going to be the ones that are suffering. And I know that they're too weak right now to understand this, but I'm not going to fucking give up on them. I've backed off a couple of times doing these videos because the fucking thing that I'm up against is fucking insurmountable. And it's daunting, and it makes me want to say, fuck it, I give up, like, you're not worth it. You know what I mean? Especially pushback, right? But the reality is that that's the cold side of my heart, and it's not true. I love you, and I want you to have a future, and I want you to have the best for your family, and so I'm not going to fucking give up, even though these videos at this point have absolutely no benefit to me at all. Like, it's basically just nothing but a risk and a waste of my time. other than that I want to do it for you. And that's it. That's all that I'm doing them for, right? Every minute that I'm making a video is a minute that I'm not, like tending to my fucking house and family, or taking care of my shit and like trying to put things in a preparation. Now, going back to the ARFCOM thread, in the ARFCOM threads that are critical of the stuff that I'm saying, which is fine. Originally, you have some people that'll be critical, and I think that's organic. And then you start to get people talking about like sadly, there's nothing of value there anymore. I fucking know exactly what kind of person that is without knowing who they are. You know what I mean? Like I know why they're saying that, and it doesn't have to do with the topic of what we're discussing. It doesn't have to do with any kind of logic order or fucking critical point that would be valid in terms of the interest. If your interest is the United States of America, if your interest is fucking taking over the United States of America, then it has some fucking logical value. You see what I'm saying? The people, you guys got to pay attention when you're out in the wild web, the wild world web, to discern and cut through the fucking synthesized consensus that's presented in forums and comments and shit like that. You need to think for yourself. This is going to be critical for the future, no matter what, because the only way that world government is going to win is by convincing you idiots that everybody is on board. And the true reality is, no one is on board at all. It is an extreme minority. Now, it's a lot of people that are in on this, but it is an extreme fucking minority. And they have to synthesize and confuse people and trick people by other means, because none of it is in their interest. If you're not in on this, where we're going is not in your interest, right? This is going to be a very difficult future, and people are going to figure that out. So be careful, with what you read. Like consider when somebody says something, and if it strikes you, if it makes you like, if you think one way because of some kind of discerning summation that you've made in your own mind, and then you read stuff from other people, and then suddenly you fucking boop, 90 degree, that should make you stop. And you should ask yourself, as a standard procedure, why is this affecting me this way? Like, what is it about this person that's saying this that's affecting me this way in my discernment? And then on top of that, you should say, you should game the possible scenarios of why a person would have the motive to say what they're going to say, right? So when somebody says these values have no stream, you get that right there. If somebody says, these values ain't got no stream, bro. If somebody says that these streams have no value, you should stop, and you should all fucking take a look, and take a fucking close look. And you should think in your head, who is the person, what kind of person would be motivated to take the time to write that, and to write it the way that they want to write it. You feeling me? Now, we got a long fucking road ahead of us, guys. A long fucking road. What's up, Dark? Now, there are some good things, okay? Here's some good things that are going on. Number one, as we move along, things are going to become more clear. The opportunity to see things more clearly is going to present itself. And when you guys start to get, even though I know that everybody thinks that they're independent-minded, when we start to get to the point where things get really bad and you start to look around and see what you really care about, people that are normally going along with the group are going to start pulling back and like looking at what's truth and what's not. And that's a good thing. The other thing is that all this stuff so far, besides general low self-esteem of me and demoralization, self-demoralization, besides that, like we're doing pretty good here, and by we I mean Dugan here, the royal we. We're doing pretty good. We're you know, like I lost my dog. He ran away, and I thought he was dead. He came back. I'm very happy to have my dog. I love my dog. The fucking the fucking wild core. I successfully completely. I explained the concept of wild core, and then explained the legal framework of how to acquire, like how to legally navigate IRC in order to create forests for people that are full of food and are open to the public, right? And was able to explain that and then back away. Now, some people like Juan, who is not in these videos anymore, but used to be, he pretty much like bit right on the exact same thing that I was trying to avoid, which is that what I was trying to avoid with Wildcore was that I don't want any of these videos to be like alarmist, and buy my book. Alarmist, buy these water filters, right? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm fucking poor. I fucking earn below I earn below the poverty level, right? The federal poverty level. The fucking and that's fine. That's my choice, and I love it. The fucking the situation where the Juan guy was in here, he fucking came in here, and then when I started to talk about Wildcore, you know, he basically said like, oh, a 501c3, like you're like scamming everybody, and it's run by a Jew, right? That's what he said, right? He which is exactly what the fuck I thought was going to happen, right? And in conception, before I even announced it, I knew that this was going to happen. That's why I developed a plan to not really be a part of it and to ask for volunteers, get volunteers in there, and then fucking step out. So I'm separated from it now. And recently, Wildcore is now run by a volunteer that stepped in, and they have fulfilled their present position. So now they're a fully fledged and functioning nonprofit that is chartered in the state of Montana, and they're fucking getting ready to get primed to get red hot here. They're still pending their federal IRS recognition, but I'm really happy that I was able to step out of it, so there's not any kind of confusion of like inurement, and that people can understand that this is an actual charitable organization for all of humanity, for people, and it's going to start in the United States, and we'd like to, you know, I hope that they'll allow me to continue to be a part of it in terms of helping them with the concept. The idea is that it will be a model developed in the United States that can then be have all of its lessons learned here and be made available to the public, to the general public, and then be replicated all over the United States. And it can be used as contingency food for the United States through private, you know, volunteers, through hands, not through like a state structure, not through a control paradigm, but by people that live there, right? Run their own forest, right? Then the model should get, ideally, if that's successful, if the model perpetuates, then we move it out and restructure it for every legal system in the world, and we put them fucking everywhere in the world. All right, so that is very good news. Yeah, I know there's lots of funny stuff. So separate event. Separate event from this other stuff. We're talking about the funny stuff with the money. So obviously, if you can't figure this out, you guys are basically like riding the dragon right now, and it's going to be a slow start with an exponential increasing curve, and then you're going to fucking crash and burn. This is the reason that you're getting $1,200 fucking stimulus checks for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like the only reason that you would have any kind of loss of your money in the first place, like of your profit, your revenue, and whatever endeavor you're in, is because the government regulates you in the first place. You know, and then they tell you to shut down, and they tell your bosses to fucking fire you or whatever, or temporary layoff or whatever. Can't work because of COVID-19. Well, guess what? The fucking people that run the United States government made fucking COVID-19 in the first place, obviously. You're a retard if you don't know that. And then then they came out with the regulation. And before all that, they fucking consolidated all your businesses so that your businesses aren't even American anymore because they're so fucking heavily regulated by OSHA and whatever the fuck else communist fucking organizations that you let come into the United States and operate, and you never fucking pushed them back. You never fucking tried to stop them. Should have never fucking come here. Like, what are you, smoking fucking crack? You lost your free market. You lost any concept of a free market decades ago, you know? You're in a consumer communist model. You're in a fucking it's communism with a allotted piggy bank to make you think that you have something. It's communism with an allotted revenue cap of a market that you're involved in whatever industry you're in. An allotted market cap that is controlled. Like, you don't have the sky as your limit. It is not true as it once was that a man can set out to fucking pursue to the best of his endeavor his dream. That is not true. That is not the case in the United States. You are in a fucking controlled economic paradigm, and it is your enslavement, and it's just going to ratchet down. This shit's getting fucking ratchet, dog. You better fucking bro dogger. You better fucking hike your fucking panties up and roll up your fucking ankles because you're going in high water, boy. Now the shit with the money, you've heard a lot of things. So in the COVID-19 initial waves, there were farmers. I'm in the Midwest. There were farmers out here that got letters from private organizations that are like think tanks and shit that are they're giving instruction through like FDA affiliates and shit to advise people that it might be a good idea to prepare to euthanize their stock and stuff for cattle, for chicken, shit like that, just in case there's like a swine flu, shit like that. This is my somebody's asking about EDC. This is what I'm mostly carrying fucking rifles right now, right? That's my rifle. Now now when I say rifle, I mean airsoft, obviously. This is not, we don't actually use firearms. For anybody that's confused, like, this is firearms are bad. Now the farmers around here were getting unofficial letters that were informalized in terms of the directive. Like, they weren't saying like you legally have to euthanize your cattle and shit. They were getting letters saying like you might want to prepare some things so that you can euthanize in the case of a national emergency, right? You had the shortage of eggs, which is actually like a packaging deal supposedly. You had various shortages in the market, particularly in food. And then now you have shit with like shortages of cash and shit like that. All of this stuff, I mean, forget any kind of logical deduction or extension that we would make off of that. Let's not do deduction. Your system is incredibly vulnerable, and if you're not taking the steps right now, if your plan is I'm going to use a bunch of money to like see my way out of this, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea for a lot of reasons. You're going to have hyperinflation at some point, so whatever money you're holding is going to drop. Now, I will say this: in the infancy, cash will become scarce, so I recommend keeping cash. In terms of what you got now, I would keep it in cash and not in digital. If you keep everything in the bank digitally, you're gonna fucking lose it at some point. Like, there will be a point, mark my words, there will be a point where you'll have fucking $30,000 in your bank account if you're a big dick. You'll have $30,000 in your bank account. You're gonna go there to try to fucking withdraw it, and they're gonna be like, and it's gone. Sorry about that. Like, that's what you're gonna fucking run into. So if you have the physical cash, which they're not printing as much as they used to, but if you have the physical cash, then at least you have it physically before it devalues into hyperinflation. You will have a period after cash where commodity money will be useful, right? It'll probably be a significant period. I'm not going to lie to you, you will get a boat jump to gold and silver. It's not the answer. the reason that you're able to jump to gold and silver is because that's what the fucking world government's going to use in the interim until you get the transition to the next currency. The next currency is sure to be fucking digital. It's not going to be physical. They're going to do away with cash. They're going to do away with specie, like coin, like your quarters and shit like that, and your cash, your fiat cash. They're going to go to a digital system. They're probably going to say that it's blockchain reinforced and is, fucking secure from consensus. I can assure you that it is not, and that you are going to be fucked as soon as you say, when they roll out the digital currency. That when that happens, and I don't know how long that is, I'm assuming that's going to be a while. I'm assuming you're going to have some fucking serious bad shit happen before then. But if you are alive and they roll out that fucking digital currency, I don't know what. But if you have any ability to resist that, you better, because once you accept that, you're done. The digital currency is going to track transactions between account holders, and it's going to eliminate black market. It's going to eliminate being able to trade things privately with any element of privacy in terms of your right to privacy in regard to your Fourth Amendment. Your Fourth Amendment's already trashed. It's gone. But, people still have to recognize it on paper. They have to placate to it for now. If you didn't know this, the big picture here of what I'm discussing is that particularly since 9/11, but long before that, but particularly since 9/11, this has been a continuous offensive campaign against the United States. You have basically had a fence set up by an external alien government that is embedded into your government, and they have used your meekness and sense of fear to, encourage you to permit them to build things against you, such as a surveillance apparatus and a complete fucking lockdown of the United States. If you hadn't noticed, the terrorists are gone now, right? And now you have Antifa and BLM and shit like that. And all of your security apparatus is pointed inward. The media is on board, academia is on board, industry is on board, the government's on board. Now, what does that mean? Those are all the direct tie-ins to how finance enters your economy, which is now completely, you're fucking 120% controlled in terms of your economy. You're still getting cash, you're still getting paychecks and shit, because that's how it shakes down the fucking ladder to you, right? So you're the last to know. Now that they have the fence set up around you, the corral, and you can't get out without a fight, now they start to bring it in and squeeze you, right? And that's what this COVID shit is about, why you have to wear a mask. That is why every fucking store, like every box store where you're going to fucking like Target or fucking whatever, Home Depot and shit, they're fucking telling you to wear a fucking mask, because they are getting them all on the same compliance page in terms of following federal government directives, right? That you didn't fucking vote for, right? And your leaders in your state and your municipality are pretty much dickless. They've been fucking clipped. The world government stole their fucking balls, right? Now, they have been maneuvering to do basically like dry runs to test their system of top-down compliance and make sure and shake out like who's not going to be compliant. They're starting off with masks and shit like that. It's just going to fucking escalate. You're going to have other viruses. The COVID-19 is not the only one. You're going to have other viruses introduced, and they're going to be a lot more lethal. COVID-19 is going to be mild compared to the other viruses. You're going to have an economic crash, like I've already mentioned. You're going to have the other thing that you're going to see is in the mid-transition of this, you're going to have a period where people are going to become extremely violent. And I'm not just talking about the general public. I'm talking about within the ranks of the government. You're going to have elements of the government break apart and fight each other. And it is going to be extremely confusing. The thing that's going to make this whole process, if something doesn't radically change, the thing that's going to make this so bad in this gradual decline and so confusing for American citizens is because you refuse to accept that the only common thread between all of these, everything that's going on, is money. The reason that is the only common thread, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about, whether we're talking about people participating in BLM and not knowing that it's fucked up world government, where they're talking about police trying to respond to BLM and they don't know that it's a fucked up world government operation. If we're talking about the fucking MSM talking about how the BLM stuff is justified and like, you know, people really need to stand out of the way and let it happen, you know, like those people, those anchors don't understand this is a world government directive. All this shit is synthesized, man, and it should demonstrate to you that the frailty of humanity and how like we really need to pull back and just fucking back off and stop listening to the people that we're listening to in a serious way. Because if you hadn't noticed, the quality of life of people in the United States has severely degraded, and their velocity of consumption and spending has reciprocally increased on a dramatic fucking hockey curve. And this is exactly what they want, because every time that you spend a dollar, you are reinforcing the system. And the reason why is because your unit of the dollar, it doesn't really matter if it's called a dollar or if it's called a, you know, sterling or fucking pound. It doesn't matter, right? When you enter into the international trade network of finance, which can range from commodity metals like gold and silver and platinum and, you know, whatever, all the way to the peso and the dollar and whatever, these are all fixed in their relationship to one another in ratio. The controlling elements of finance and international finance, the way that they maintain power and influence on your society through money and maintain control and dominance of money, is because their network is set up in trade nodes globally. And they are embedded, and you have allowed them to embed into your country. And if you're a U.S. citizen, if you're an American, you've allowed them to embed in your country, not only at the control nodes, like the levers of how money comes in, but at the regulatory structures that you accept in your business. So if you're you know, in some kind of business that has specific regulatory controls on it, you know, like I could use firearms sales, for instance, because it's one of the most heavily regulated businesses, you know, out there with the ATF and shit like that. But you don't just have the ATF. You have the ATF and the city, your municipality, if you're in a city. You have the state, right? You have all these levels. You have the county. You have all these levels of compliance. Those are all government that gave up. They fucking gave up and took the dollar instead of fucking listening to their constituents, instead of worrying about how this might affect their constituency, instead of being able to reflect the bullshit that was being sold to them from the top, from the federal government, that they naively assumed was operating in their best interests because of 9/11 and terrorism and shit. They looked at that, and they looked at the Constitution, and they didn't say, I believe in the Constitution, and the Constitution says this, and clearly this motherfucking new shit is the fucking opposite of the Constitution. These motherfuckers don't jive. This does not go together. This fucking puzzle, you're trying to stick a fucking triangle into a fucking circle hole, you retard. They never stopped one time and said, like, we're not going to do this. And they never blew the fucking alarm. Mostly. There were a couple people that did. Nowhere near enough. And their complacency just like rolled downhill as people thought in the back of their mind while they were considering, should I accept this or not? They thought of all the fucking greenbacks that they could fucking stuff into their fucking accounts. You know, all the people in controlled industry that had that thought that they had a foot in, that thought they had a fucking you know, some kind of plan in their head of like, oh, I can make some money this way. This is the whole thing. Every swinging dick is doing this, down to the fucking person that's like, you know, filing for fucking like EBT and shit. It's all the way up and down the chain. It's every single person putting the principle of finance before any principle of ethic. And it clouds your judgment, and this is the reason that everything is destroyed. Now, in the case of the destabilization that you're experiencing right now in the United States, it should be readily apparent, even if you don't accept any of these observations that I'm trying to make clear to you. If you don't accept it because you're too stubborn and brainwashed and to have too much of an ego to accept that you've been had, you should be able to look at it from the standpoint of like, what is good for human beings and my family and the American people. And what is going on right now is incredibly destructive in pretty much every facet of life. From everything that's, you know, from what the government does to what people do in businesses is a losing game. And the system in reality is just, it's stealing money from you. Because the dollar that you're using or whatever unit, it doesn't have any connection to the hours of time that you spend at a job for your labor, or the material that you're using, the unit of the material, the kilogram, or the energy that you're spending on your machines to like process the material. It has no connection to the unit that you're agreeing to work for. The reason being why is because they can print that shit. I don't even want to use I mean like control print F. I don't mean like print like on a paper machine, because they're not even fucking doing that. It's digital, right? It's coming out of nowhere. So obviously if you're working to produce this doodad, and your rate of pay for yourself is X, and the way that you calculate the pay for yourself is how much you're going to sell this doodad for, and then you're going to work X number, you're going to work Y number of hours for X number of pay, right? That's a fixed fucking ratio between your fucking triangle of your profit model, right? Of how you're going to survive in the world. Well, the people that are fucking dropping the money down in your fucking triangle, they're not fucking constrained by any of those things. They're not constrained by how much, you're going to sell the fucking doodad for. They can fucking regulate you if they want. They can fucking close off a market. They can fucking close off a country so that you're not selling to them. They can fucking, ban you by the EPA. They can ban you by OSHA, whatever. They can fucking print so much money into existence through fractional reserve lending that your unit that you're working for in time is degrading in real time as you're working, and your unit is becoming worth less and less and less, so that whatever it is, $10, $100 an hour, whatever type of footing you have into the economy, what you built your business plan considering is not going to fucking work.